I'm Katie Merrill. I'm the Dean of Admissions. So I appreciate you attending today. I love to do this, and I also love to do this to Dean McCormick. I love to ask two questions. I'd love to know where you're from and one word that describes you best. I know it's tough.
I left them to a word or a phrase. You
Oh,
run a
okay.
better ship than me.
All right. So I am originally from Utah, but I've grown up everywhere. And well, San Francisco, Utah, and then everywhere else. But and I would say dedicated would be my word. Good. Houston and optimistic. I love that. Portland, tenacious. Oh, that's great. Oh, yeah. So Melinda, I just came back from my trip to San Francisco. And I saw my aunt. Ellis Street is named after my great grandfather, and was a police chief there. And it was very fun. We spent the weekend in Mendocino. Oh, and just so if you're flying direct flights, $320 JetBlue direct to Boston. So it's easy to get here. New York, resilient. Well, wonderful. All right. So I think I'm going to get us started. Again, Katie Merrill, the Dean of Admissions, and thank you for joining us this evening. We're here today to explore our online hybrid JD program. I'm joined by my colleagues, Shirley Crawford and Ellen Doobie. I'm also joined by the director of our online program, Roger Powell, and our law dean, Beth McCormick. And our stars of the evening that will take away the show are students. There are two L's, our online hybrid JD two L's, Adam Overton and Bill O'Brien. So with that, I'm going to pass the floor to Dean McCormick and a word or a phrase that best describes you and where you are from.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here with you today. As Katie said, I'm Beth McCormick. I'm from Providence, Rhode Island, but I've been a Vermonter now for about 13 years. And before that, I lived in Boston for quite a while. And I saw that many of you, or a few of you, either work there or from Massachusetts. So appropriate on season opener of the Boston Red Sox today. I'm a big Red Sox fan, as you may be able to tell by my office. And the season opener is one day where you can still feel happy and confident about your team. And so I'll take that. One word that describes me is teacher, because even though I am the dean of the law school, I consider myself at first a teacher. And so I wanted to tell you a little bit about why I love Vermont Law and Graduate School, and then in particular, why I love the online hybrid JD program. And I'm going to give you three reasons for each, although I'm going to be brief in the spirit of threes that are so common in baseball games. So the first reason about why I love Vermont Law and Graduate School is its mission. So Vermont Law and Graduate School's motto is law for the community and the world. And we have a really strong focus in environmental law, energy law, and in restorative justice. Now, I don't have an expertise in those areas. I was a general practitioner when I practiced law in Boston for about 10 years before I joined the faculty here. I was a litigator at a Boston law firm. But despite that, I am daily inspired by our faculty, our alumni, and our students, many of them who do choose to focus in these areas. And then being around the greatness in these areas is inspiring work for me. In addition, when I think about the world and its problems, or at least the United States, two of the major problems facing this country today are climate change and also the need for criminal justice reform. And so it also makes me proud to be associated with these two expertise that our school offers. Along the same lines, we're a home for general practice people too. We have a new general practice track in our online hybrid JD, and we have many students that come here just to get an outstanding legal education and to practice in their towns or in cities, at law firms, at nonprofits, at corporations and government, and so on and so forth. The second reason I love this law school is our community. One of my favorite stories to tell about this is it was just really my first week working at the law school back in 2011. And I was in my office, and a student came in trying to move into their apartment, and they were looking for my colleague whose office was next to me, who was then in charge of housing. She's still at the law school now, but she was in charge of housing then. And he was saying, I'm trying to move into my apartment. I have my U-Haul here, and the landlord was supposed to leave the door unlocked, and it's not unlocked, and I can't get in, and my dad's here, and I don't know what to do. And he was really panicked. So I said, well, she'll be right back, and I'll let her know that you're here and you can wait right here, but I'm not sure she's going to be able to help you because she is not the landlord, right? So she's just in charge of housing. She's not going to be able to help you. But I'm sure she can help you try to get in touch with the landlord, et cetera. Well, about an hour later, I left my office and I saw this U-Haul right across the street at one of our local apartments. And I saw this person, her name is Tammy, shimmying through the window of this apartment. So I thought she wouldn't be able to help, but sure enough, she went above and beyond to help get the student access to his keys in the apartment. I later found out she had permission of the landlord. But it was a really telling moment to me to show how dedicated our staff is at this school and our faculty as well. And I think and I hope that you will feel that in the online hybrid JD program as well. And I'm going to talk more about that in just a second. But you will find dedicated faculty and staff to help you at every stage of your career, from orientation, of course, you've already met some of our admissions team, to actually taking classes, to preparing and passing the bar, to finding a job. And I think you will find that support just as much in the online world as we see in the residential world. You might think that it is harder to feel a sense of community in an online hybrid program than it is in a residential program. I have the unique experience of teaching in both. I've taught both. I teach the same class in both. I teach civil procedure, which is a required 1L class, in the residential program and in the online program. And I can tell you, and I had both Adam and Bill as students last year. And I can tell you, in many ways, I feel like I know my online hybrid JD students better. And part of that is because it's a smaller class. I tend to have 80 students plus in my residential class, where I'll have at the most 50 students in my online hybrid JD class. Maybe it's something about the fact that it's at night. Maybe it's something about the fact that we're all often logging into each other's homes. Tonight, I'm logging in from the school, but normally I would log in from my home. So we get to know each other's spouses, pets, children from time to time. We get to see each other's homes. And there's an intimacy and a connection that comes from that I haven't been able to replicate with my residential students. And I truly feel like I know my online students as well, if not better, than my online students, than my residential students. And I think that's also helped by the residency. So as part of this program, you're going to have 3 residencies over your 10 semesters, 3.5 calendar years. You'll have 3 4-day residencies in Vermont. These residencies are designed to be 4 days so that you can reasonably take a break from your home and work obligations, as this is a part-time program, without missing too much. But it provides them an amazing opportunity to bond. It has a camp-like feel to it in a good way. So of course we stay at a hotel in Burlington for the first one. And the faculty stay there too, because most of the faculty live south of that, as I do as well. And so it really becomes a 4-day period where we get to spend a lot of time together, both in the classroom and socially, in a way that helps forge connections very early in your program that carry on throughout the program. Adam and Bill are preparing for their second residency, which will be in June. And I truly cannot wait to see them, to hang out with them, to have a beer with them, to go for a dog walk with them. I always take my dog to these residencies as well. We have dog walking office hours. And it's just a unique opportunity to get to know one another one-on-one that I don't have with my residential students. I have also found that my online students really form study groups and friendships that are as close as my residential students. And I think one of the reasons that happens so easily in this program is because our core first-year classes are synchronous. And I'll talk more about that in just a second. The third reason that I really love this law school is because of our faculty. One thing that's unique about this law school is that we really focus and believe on experiential learning. I did not go to law school here. I went to Boston University School of Law. And when I went to law school, I had no professors that had ever actually practiced law before. And that, I think, is something you can find at many, if not most, American law schools. That the professors really come up through academia. They're brilliant, they're scholars, and they haven't actually ever practiced law, which has never made a lot of sense to me. We have brilliant scholars as well. We have brilliant teachers here, but most of our faculty have practiced law before they joined the faculty of Vermont Law and Graduate School in all sorts of different areas. Some were litigators, some were public defenders, some were prosecutors, some work for EPA, some work for nonprofits, and so on and so forth. And I think that that shows in the way that they deliver material in the classroom, that focus on learning experiential and practical skills that are necessary to succeed in law school, instead of really just focusing on theoretical and scholarly type of material, which is what I tended to get at law school. So those are 3 reasons that I'm really proud of the school as a whole. And I'm going to give you 3 more that are just specific to this program, although I've touched upon some of them. We are, of course, a fully ABA accredited online program. You graduate from our program, you will be eligible to take the bar in any jurisdiction, except there is a little hiccup if you're trying to get admitted into New York. And that's something that I encourage you to talk with us one-on-one about. That is something that you are interested in. Just going to give a second to pause. Great, we muted that. So New York has some limits on online learning, despite our full ABA accreditation. There are ways to manage that, but I would want to talk with you about that if that's what you're considering. So that's who we are. We are one of only about 19 fully ABA accredited online GD programs out there. And the reasons that I think make us unique and make us, I think that should be on your list of, high on your list of online programs to choose. One is that we have our core 1L classes that are mostly synchronous. If you're not familiar with online learning, synchronous classes exist almost like we are now. So I can see you, you can see you, so you can see me. We have an interaction and a dialogue. It is very much like a residential class. I use the Socratic method. Not all faculty members do, but I do in my online hybrid JD classes. And it feels very much the same as my residential class with some adjustments. I do a lot more with technology. I use the whiteboard on Teams quite a bit. I use small group sessions from time to time. I use audio-visual videos and other things from time to time. But that's how we deliver our core 1L classes, those key classes that are going to be tested on the bar exam as well. And I think that's great for the beginning of an online program because it allows you to really learn in a directed way the fundamental skills that you need to succeed in law school. Then as you move on, you'll take more asynchronous classes, but you'll have those fundamental skills already. You'll have some practice with it. You'll have some experience with it, and you'll have some great relationships with your professors that you develop through the synchronous nature. So that's one thing that I think makes our program special and that I am particularly proud of. I will say that I played a big role in designing the program, which is another reason why I love our program. But you'll find that you have high administrative level support for our online hybrid JD program. So for example, our president of Vermont Law and Graduate School, Rod Smola, a renowned First Amendment scholar, Google him, you'll see all about the many cases that he's worked on, including most recently, the Dominion case that has received a lot of press where he got a favorable settlement just a few months ago. He teaches in our online hybrid JD program. Our Dean of Faculty, Cynthia Lewis, teaches in it. Our Dean of Students, Joe Brennan, teaches it. And of course, I teach in it as well. I, as I told you, have the special benefit of being able to teach the same material in the same class at the same time with my residential and my online students. And I can tell you that my online students do just as well, if not better. I think the synchronous nature also allows you to hear questions from your classmates that maybe you hadn't thought about, maybe you didn't want to ask, and the answers, and it allows you to interact with the material in a way I think that is better in some ways than asynchronous classes, at least for some subject matter. The second reason that I am proud of this program is that we have been a long time, Vermont Law School has been a long time leader in online education. We were the first law school to offer fully online master's degrees. Over a decade ago, we started to do that. Those are mostly asynchronous classes. Since then, we've moved all of our online operations in-house. We don't partner with any third parties. Everything that we do ourselves. We use Canvas as our platform. And our longtime leadership in fully online degrees, I think, shows in our online hybrid JD program. And that is another reason why when the pandemic happened and everyone switched to online classes, we were in a really good place to do that. And then we built on that experience and what we learned from that to offer and develop this program. And I already talked to you about our faculty and how you will see top-notch faculty, both in your core JD classes, but in your asynchronous classes as well. And all of them are dedicated to this program, excited about this program, enthusiastic about this program. And I think that you will feel that. Of course, you don't have to take my word from it because we do have 2 students for you to talk to. But with that, I want to pass things over to our director of the online hybrid JD program, Roger Powell. Go ahead, Roger.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dean McCormick. I really appreciate your very thoughtful introduction and discussion of both the institution as well as the OHJD program. And I want to welcome everyone again. The word that I would use to describe myself is excited. I am really excited to have you here tonight. And I am from all over the United States. I've lived in Indianapolis, well, the United States and the world, I guess, because I've lived in Indianapolis. I lived in the Raleigh-Durham area for 10 years. I lived in Southern California for 10 years. I lived in Taiwan for a year and a half. And now I've moved on to the New England area. And I'm very excited to be with each and every one of you here tonight. I'm going to do a little introduction of myself, and I'm going to also note a logistical note. I'll start with a logistical note first. Um, if you have a question, I would say to hold on to it for the time being because we will have 2 different opportunities for questions and answers. One of them will be to the student panelists in a moment, Bill and Adam, but then we'll also have a general Q&A. And one of the wonderful things about this session is that you will have the opportunity to ask questions, and we certainly welcome them. And but a little bit about myself. I have been a licensed attorney. I am a licensed attorney. I've been a licensed attorney for a little over 17 years now. I was one of those who started off practicing the law at a mid-sized law firm in the Boston area. Then at my second law firm, I practiced law at a large international law firm. I practiced business law. So, a variety of different areas in a transactional perspective under the rubric of business law, from mergers and acquisitions to business organizations to contract law to employment law to intellectual property law. And perhaps not coincidentally, that also encompasses the classes that I teach. At Vermont Law and Graduate School, I teach contracts law and business associations, which is basically a synonym for business organizations. And so I'm really excited to be here today, but perhaps most importantly, I'm very excited to now I guess, hand the baton or ask a question of Adam and Bill, respectively. I think maybe I'll go in alphabetical order. Someone whose first name starts with R, last name starts with P. I never liked that much, but we have an A with Adam and a B with Bill. I think I'll start with Adam. Let me ask you, Adam, can you share a bit about yourself, what brought you to VLGS, and what your experience here has been like so far?
Sure. Yeah, great to meet everyone. Happy to be here. So, like some of the faculty have said, I'm a second year with Bill. We're in the 2025 graduating cohort. And so, about myself, I started off in Colorado when I joined the program. I've recently moved to the Durham Raleigh area. Didn't know that Roger Powell was from here for a bit. We're gonna have to chat about that. Just here temporarily, not sure how long, maybe just a few years. I grew up, I was born in the South, grew up mostly in Minnesota, but then joined the Army and kind of went everywhere. I worked in government for a little while at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Bureau of Land Management, and then a state Department of Agriculture in Colorado. And then at the time of joining this program, I switched over to private industry. So currently I'm working and a pesticide manufacturer. So I work between a private industry stance between the EPA, kind of going back and forth in the regulatory sphere. So it's been actually a lot of fun. I joined this program for the environmental law track, and so I actually enjoyed that one of my professors was specifically on the, I don't know his specific position, but he's a senior person at the Office of General Counsel there for EPA. So we've actually gotten to interact a little bit about our work area in the midst of it. And so regarding the comment made earlier about the faculty having not only work experience, but actively being involved in certain areas of the legal sphere, it's actually very exciting to have that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Adam, for that excellent introduction. And well, let me ask now, Bill, can you share a little bit about yourself? What brought you to VLGS? What your experience has been like here so far? Uh-oh, Bill, are you there?
There we go. Okay. Now you should be able to hear me. I'm Bill O'Brien. Adam and I are classmates together. We both started in the fall of 2023. So this is our second year. Um, I, I'm from all over the place, actually. My little joke is I'm from wherever the moving truck dropped me off. So I've lived everywhere from New England to North Carolina. And yes, I have paid my rent or mortgage everywhere that I've lived. I currently live in Lexington, Kentucky, where I do human resources consulting and political consulting with people after a year of a full career in state government and federal government. What brought me to my one word to describe me would be tenacious. I am doggedly persistent and tenacious at solving a problem and digging into it. What brought me to VLS is, like many of you, I did a research of what programs I was going to do. I always wanted to do a law degree. I many years ago had a choice between doing a PhD program and a law degree program. I chose the PhD program, which was a good move because it's how I met my wife. And then always had that itch to scratch. And so later decided to go back to law school. And now later, I looked both at the brick and mortar law schools and at online law schools. And for someone like Adam and me, we work full time during the day, and most law schools that are brick and mortar simply do not accommodate it. I live 4 miles down the road from the University of Kentucky, which also admitted me, and I turned them down because they work 8 to 5 and that's it. And no nights a week and there's no holidays for classes. Whereas VLS, we come in at 6 o'clock at night after a full day of work, and you can do that. It's doable. Ed and I both work full time, and we pull it off. Sometimes not as well as we'd like, but we pull it off. The other, aside from associating myself with Dean McCormick's comments, which I would encourage you to replay, I'm always the one who says I think this program is better. I've sat in law school classes at a top 10 law school, seen the lectures of 120 students. There is nothing better than sitting with an experienced litigator who is also an experienced professor teaching you classes. And I'm really not trying to blow smoke, but it doesn't get any better than that. You're one-on-one, you've got answers. One thing that's not been mentioned is our classes are recorded. And so instead of standing in line at the professor's desk at the end, hoping to ask your 30-second question, we simply rewind the tape and say, what did she say? What do we mean? Let me blow that again. Let me answer that again. And that's incredibly, incredibly helpful. Aside from all the resources that get posted online, Dean McCormick and a colleague will post their slides for class. They'll post examples, they'll post summaries. It's incredibly helpful. For a lot of reasons, I just think it's better. And I would encourage you to and not because she's on the call, but lean in again to what Dean McCormick said about synchronous and asynchronous classes. And for me, the dispositive factor was the fact that VLS has been doing this for a very long time before they launched. I did look at all the other brick and mortar classes. The online programs simply don't have the depth of experience that Vermont Law School does, and that just made a tremendous difference for me. So this other thing I will tell you is we have an official Microsoft Teams chat that's run by Roger Poe, the director of the program, and his assistant, Annie Keller, who will put notes out there. But we've also, the 20 of us in our cohort, has developed our own chat on the side. And so we talk to each other all the time. We always have each other's backs. We ask the dumb questions, the stupid questions. We help clarify each other for where things are. We know when people are having a bad day. We pick each other up. and you will not find that in another program. And it's great. I could go on, but it's wonderful, and you should seriously consider this above other programs for that reason. So with that, I will give it back to all of you and stop speaking.
Bill, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction and for that, excellent take on the program. I really appreciate it. And well, I already see a few questions from the panelists, and this is the time for each and every one of you to feel free to raise your hand if you want to take the microphone, or type in the chat area if you have a question for Adam and Bill first, respectively. And one question that I see from Tatiana Tolliver, a terrific question for Adam and or Bill: what has been the toughest class since being in the program? Ooh, so do either of you want to jump in?
Bill, do you have one on the top of your head?
No, not at the top of my head. So I'm going to answer that differently. The toughest class is managing your workload. I mean, I have a full-time job. I have a family. We have children. Doing that and managing the work is the challenge of this program for us. And just a one shout out was VLS has been amazingly accommodating to those of us who have done it. One of the lessons learned in the first year was that several of our assignments were doing like on a Friday night or a Saturday night or something of that nature. And we said to them simply, we need the weekend to get our homework done. And so they just pivoted and adjusted, and our assignments are typically due on a Sunday night at midnight, which works out just great because it's all day Saturday, balance families work and getting to get our work done. The other thing I would say, and Adam will jump in, is there are some classes that are 3 credits and some that are 4. And the 4 credit classes really are 4 credits. I mean, they're a significant amount of work. And so you need to take them seriously. And a lot of those are the doctrinal classes like contracts or property. Adam and I are property now. We had constitutional law over the summer, a serious class. But that's what I would add. Adam?
Yeah, let me jump in there. I was going to answer it differently as well. I think the rigor for the classes was consistent. I didn't think that a particular class was harder than any other, but I would add, in thinking back, well, I would say if you get accepted and you come this far, you're ready. I would just say it that way. And the way that the classes are stacked, it's not like you're expected to be at a 3L level when you're a 1L. So when you come in, you're learning some of the items that are necessary to, some of these elements to be able to get through the classes as you go on. And I think it's at a good pace. It's definitely not, I don't use the word elementary in a easy way because it's rigorous, but you just kind of, I don't remember anybody in our cohort really truly struggling beyond what you'd expect just getting into law school in general. But I wanted to answer another one first, if that's okay.
Go for it.
Okay, there was a question about, do you recommend the program for people looking to go into policy work? I would say absolutely. This is not necessarily looking to be a lawyer, but would be a skill set to analyze laws, policies. So there's a full breadth. Actually, I had an idea of what I thought I specifically wanted to do coming into law school, and I've realized the skill sets you learn here are broadly applicable. I definitely want to take the bar. I definitely want to be an attorney, but you realize in the classes as you go on that administrative law and different types of government affairs are kind of at your fingertips here. Maybe Bill can kind of add to it, but you touch a wide area of applicability from class to class that is I wasn't aware it would be that broad.
Yeah, I think Adam's done it well. The only thing I'll add is I hesitate to say this. I've been doing policy work for 30 years, and I still learn something. I keep learning things here. And it's all about, you'll hear the term issue spotting quite a bit. It's what's the core issue? What's the core problem? What's the core question somebody's asking? And everything we do, whether it's the core classes or the elective classes, teaches you how to drill into that, and then teaches you how to respond to that in a very thoughtful way. So it's perfect in that way.
There's
Wonderful.
another.
Thank you so much, Bill. Go for it, Adam.
Okay, yeah. If we want to change gears, I thought we would answer these questions as we're going. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine.
There was another question that a few seconded. It's, can you participate in clubs and organizations while being in the hybrid JD program? In brief, yes. I mean, depending on your own schedule and coordinating with the clubs, there's a couple that I joined in with. During certain semesters, I had a conflict of one class, and during another semester, I had the availability, and I joined in remotely with one of the clubs. But specifically and kind of more um, uh, desirable for most law students, the hybrid JD program has been allowed after a certain time period to join in with the law journal. There's two, and I forget the distinguishing names, but there's two journals here at VLGS, and they've actually made that available to us for a write-on, and specifically worked with us and brought higher classmen to come and talk to us, similar to how Bill and I are doing, to come and open that to us and make it accessible. And I think that the school does a great job with trying to make everything accessible in that way, as long as it's possible.
The thing I would add to Adam, and we're kind of in this, so we take it for granted, is every program that happens at school is broadcast live and recorded through it's the Microsoft Teams app, so it's easy to figure out. And so there's no forum from which you should feel excluded. And indeed, a lot of the residential students will log in from their houses or apartments, whatever the case may be, to the program. And each program always takes questions from the online audience as well. And to amplify what Adam just said, the two journals is the Vermont Law Review, a typical law school review, and the Vermont Environmental Law Journal, focusing obviously on environmental programs. There are 2 slots reserved for online hybrid JD students there, as there are a certain number of slots per student organization, including the Student Bar Association, to participate in. The other thing I would say to you is I've had the distinct advantage, as some of our colleagues have, of having gone to graduate school. And so the reading load is what I'm used to. The reading load difference between undergrad and grad is a big difference. I mean, you're looking at a lot of pages, a fair chunk of pages that are deep in reading per week. So have some caution about how you take on extracurricular activities. It's not like undergrad at all in that regard. So that's the bit of wisdom and experience I would give to you.
Bill, that's excellent. Thank you so much to you, Bill. Thank you so much to you, Adam. And I see a question for both of you. I'm going to paraphrase this question. This is from Kelly Trimble earlier. Um, you know, and I should add, it's about synchronous classes, and for example, for the 1L class, which is in their second semester right now. Just so this is just basic information. They're taking 3 synchronous classes at this time. And generally, the synchronous classes are from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time. And they're taking 3 classes. So they have class on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings. I'm teaching one of those classes on Wednesday evening from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. And it's the contracts course. And I do record those sessions, and I do post the recording right after, like within 24 hours after the class, in the module section of the course in the Canvas learning management system. But this question, I think, is a deeper question from Kelly too, as far as what happens if a day job commitment forces you to miss a synchronous class? Do you have to rely on notes from other students, or what? So we've heard already from you, Adam, and you, Bill, that the first cohort is very tightly knit. But I was wondering if you could speak a little bit more to this. Like, in what respects are you tightly knit? I mean, do outlines, work on outlines together, or do you share notes if a person misses a class, for example? What type of experience do you have there?
Yeah. So first of all, you reach out to your professor because there are limitations on absences from classes. So keeping that caveat in mind. But if you've arranged an approved absence and you're gone, the lectures are recorded. You should have already done the reading for that week beforehand and been prepared. So the material should be already kind of digested a bit. So when you have the opportunity to get into recording later, it should follow that you can kind of catch back up pretty easily. But our cohort, I mentioned in one comment, I've been trying to type back to some of the questions. You have a Teams team. So your cohort is together in a certain group, and so we have a chat together. We help each other out. So oftentimes we'll ask each other questions in either the Teams chat or during the class in the chat as well, and we kind of help each other through that way. And then I did answer back to someone, the office hours for the faculty have been extremely flexible and doable. So there's like usually been set office hours per week, as long as everybody's continued to desire that. But you've been able to reach out to the professor and ask for a personal appointment time. And it's been, I've never had an issue. Anytime that I've needed to speak with someone, it's been timely and not cut short, and thorough opportunity to get what I need. And then the cohort, I can't speak for everybody's cohort, but I assume it'll be the same. We're a pretty tight knit bunch. Especially after our first residential period, you get to know everybody. You have a fun time with everybody too. There's some group work stuff during the residential period, and so anyway, some of these folks I'm really good friends with, and we talk several times a week, calling each other, texting each other, as it pertains to the work, and sometimes just with life events and such. And so you definitely get to lean on each other through the process.
Adam's got it exactly right. I mean, we've got each other's back. Let me just put it as plainly as that. And we help each other as a group get through things. And let me just try to address what I think might be the worry. If you're worried about trying to catch a professor and only being able to do it at office hours, don't. These are all adults. We're all adults. You shoot somebody an email and just say, "Hey, I need help. I need to go help. We need some help." Let's answer a question. That's great. And then Professor Poe, maybe you want to talk a little about ASP. There's an academic success program, which is another huge resource that we haven't even talked about yet. So it's not just professors and classes and books, but there's that as well. So I would defer to you to that.
Yeah, absolutely, Bill. And thank you so much, Adam. Thank you so much, Bill. I think that's an excellent point. I'll talk a little bit about ASP, but I also will invite Dean McCormick to jump in as well. I think that let me start with the big picture. I think that when you start off in law school and when you progress throughout your first year, it's not just about the classes, right? It's about the type of support that you get outside of class. And when it comes to legal research, when it comes to legal writing, when it comes to maybe study skills or time management, there may be certain types of questions that you may want someone who has expertise in that particular field outside of your faculty member to bounce ideas off of, or to get tips, or to get advice on best practices. And that is where ASP comes into play. That's the Academic Success Program. And it is such a invaluable resource. They're so amazing. They also provide information on studying for the bar exam. So throughout your time in law school, they'll provide very helpful guidance there. Dee McCormick, do you want to add anything there?
Yeah, so ASP is made up of faculty members, 2 faculty members, a staff member who manages the program, and then a team of student mentors. And these students are students that not necessarily were the top in their class, but who found a way to succeed and can help other students find a way to succeed. I mean, sometimes they are the top in the class. And these students will meet with you, and the faculty will too, one-on-one after hours or on the weekends as needed to accommodate your work schedules, to help you with study skills and legal analysis skills, time management skills. They can help you overcome fears of Socratic method. They can help you, maybe you're nervous about going to office hours. They can help you get ready for that office hours. And so they do sort of all sorts of things. And in fact, this year for the first time, or maybe not the first time, but this year for sure, ASP is hiring students that have been in the online program to be ASP mentors as well as our residential students. But regardless, our residential students support our online program as well. And then most classes also have TAs. And so I have 5 TAs between my residential and online class this year. And these are students that can meet with you one-on-one. They have all had me before, so they know my expectations. And so they can help you as well. So there's that support as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dean McCormick. And Tremaine asked an excellent question too. And I know the ASP piece of your question, Tremaine, has already been answered, but this is for Adam and Bill as far as how do you prepare for exams? Is it more of a collaborative or an individual effort? Do you want to talk about the exam prep process?
I've experienced both. Primarily for me, it's on my own, building up you build up outlines. I mean, you don't have to, but that's pretty much the norm, and I highly recommend it. So over the course of your semester, your study is building upon itself, and so it's best to build out your outline as you go, so that by the end you're kind of cleaning it up, thinning it out, getting down to the real meat of what you're learning and what you need to memorize for your test. And then, but as we do that, I've worked with some of the other students. We have arranged at times to I forget what the website is, but where you kind of create your own Quizlet, and so we had a group that like 4 of us that we kind of all added our own stuff in that we had in our outlines from the semester, and then all kind of used that to study. That's pretty much how it's been for me, and that's been sufficient. Well, I will say there's study hours, like not study hours, review times, where some of the TAs have gotten together and they invite all the students to a specific time. It's recorded in case you can't make it, but they give an overview of like a review before the test. And then they also do like Q&A. So any questions that you have that weren't, you just still don't understand. And that's been wholly sufficient for me. By the time I'm done with that, with my outline, maybe ask a couple of questions, I really don't feel like there's any gaps. It's just putting in the time to be prepared for the exam.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is it's a pretty straight formula, and the formula is do the reading, go to class, and engage in class. It's really as simple and direct as that. And Adam well said, we share resources that are a whole bunch of online practice questions and practice quizzes and things, and we will point each other to those as ways to do that, and we get it done. I did want to add one thing about ASP to show. So I've been out of school for a little while, and my experience was I was doing great on the essays. I was hitting 90, 95s, 100s. I was just knocking the essays out of the park. And the multiple choice questions were kicking my butt because I was just out of practice. And I went to ASP and said, help me do this. Help me figure out how to do this. And they gave me some strategies and tips and tactics for how to do that. And Principal Small, who taught our con law class last fall, gave us a really good little tip for how to approach those in the bar exam. And it says it's resourceful as something as simple as that. And so it's great in that regard.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Bill. And thank you so much, Adam. Well, I just want to add a quick response to a quick question. And then I want to, we've already started this, but I want to open it up to questions for all of the panelists here today, including Adam and Bill. But there's a question about synchronous versus asynchronous. And I wanted to define those terms and provide any clarification that might be helpful. So with respect to what we are calling synchronous classes, that means that they meet once a week in the evenings. in general. There may be certain exceptions with respect to 4 credit courses in the summer, for example. But typically that refers to, for example, with my contracts course, it meets on Wednesdays, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time throughout the entire spring semester. With respect to asynchronous courses, there are no required meetings in the evening, but faculty members still have optional office hours, and they're typically once a week. And typically there's set day and time, although sometimes faculty do floating office hours where they may vary from week to week. So I think that would be the distinction between those two types of classes. But now I want to open up any questions or thoughts for any and all of the panelists here.
Can I just add to that?
Go for it, Bill.
Just to be clear, not every class is 6 to 9 every night. Many of them are. There are a couple that are, once a week from say 6:30 to 8, or twice a week from 6:30 to 8. Our first semester, for example, we took a class called Legislation and Regulation. That was 2 nights a week from I think 6 to 7:30, 7:45 or something. But other first year class, civil procedure was 3 hours, and what else we had? We had another class that I forget. It's been a while. It was 6 to 9. So not everything is 6 to 9, but there are some different nights of the week. And the other thing I might add, it gets easier as you go through the program. It becomes more of a blend of synchronous and asynchronous. So bear that in mind.
And Bill, you made me think of a question for you and Adam. I mean, how have you found asynchronous versus synchronous classes? Is there one type of class you like better, and why?
There's I don't pick one over the other necessarily. There's benefits to both. And actually, I think the blend of them makes the program more enjoyable. So in a certain sense, I like to have synchronous for everything. That's kind of enjoyable to be in the Socratic method and to have a professor there kind of on the spot working through everything with you. On the other hand, I've learned a ton in my asynchronous courses, and it's you kind of just have a different style of learning in that. And it's an online format. Obviously, sometimes there will be certain pre-recorded lectures, but that's not typically what you do each week. So there will be a very heavy list of reading that week. Some outside items like other videos to watch, other websites to visit. And then there'll be even a list of like supplemental reading that you'll do. And then over the course of that week, you typically have stuff due in a series of days. And so you're working things, like you're learning by working. You're doing a lot of writing, you're doing a lot of reading, but it's interactive. You probably all have had this if you've had other courses, since computer stuff's been becoming big in universities, but you have a thread of comments. And so you'll have to make a major post, respond to a couple of others, then you go back and do some other things there. You'll have some essays due, you'll have certain types of work product to get done. So certain types of memorandums or certain types of, something like a FOIA request. And you'll submit that and get your grade completely asynchronous through that. Yeah, I'll leave it at that and go to Bill.
Again, Adam's got it exactly right. I've said this several times tonight, but anyways, he does. You can look at, they're just different. One is show up, do the reading, show up for class, listen to the lecture, take notes, and take your exam and you're done. The other is, as Adam said, here's a set of readings, comment on this question or problem, and then react to and constructively and positively support what another colleague has said. And those are, quick turnarounds on the weekend. You might have a post due on a Thursday night, and then a response due by a Saturday night, and then another quick response on a Sunday. And so they're challenging in different ways. They develop skills in different ways. I probably haven't written so much regularly for any school class in a long time. But it'll keep you on your toes. But the advantage of that is it's totally on your own schedule. So you don't have to show up for class at a certain time because they're asynchronous. You get your work done. And so I'll dig in on a Thursday night and get my post done, and then dig in Saturday morning and get other things done as well. So that's beneficial for those of you who are working part-time or full-time and have to balance a family as well.
Bill, wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Adam. And I see a couple of students have raised their hands. Genesis, you've been waiting patiently. Go for it.
Thank you so much. I want to say that I do have to get off the live after I ask my question, which I hate because so many people are asking great questions that I didn't think about. But my personal question is that it's for the current cycle of this fall, which I am also thinking of pushing it back. And I'm glad that one of the faculty members mentioned the LSAT because that's where my question was kind of lingering around. But well, I guess just going into the admission cycle, I know that Vermont Law School is partnered with the CLEO pre-law program where, and so as an applicant, I'm deciding to invest in myself to be more of a competitive applicant to do that pre-law 6-week program. And my question to the faculty was, do you all think it's best to, because I haven't applied yet for this cycle, even though, I know the deadline and et cetera, it was probably better to apply earlier. But just realizing that do you all think it's just better to wait to know if I get accepted into the pre-law program because I'm waiting to know if I get accepted before applying, or should I just automatically just go ahead and apply? So that was my question. And my second question is synchronous classes are the classes during your 1L year. And when you all say asynchronous, you're talking about after your 1L year?
I think those are two excellent questions. Katie, do you want to take the first one? I can take the second one.
Yes, certainly. Genesis, what I would recommend is we have also partnered with Access Lex Postdoc program, and I would be happy to talk to you a little bit more about it. It would postpone law school for a year, but they'll work with you on retaking your LSAT, give you fundamentals for your 1L year, and then also I like how to manage law school debt. So it's a great program, and I'm a big proponent of it. I also like the CLEO program, and I know that they have a ton of great mentors. It's just really hard to do the CLEO program because it finishes in July and then to get set for law school. So I would look at both programs, and we can certainly help you determine that. And we're welcome to have you apply, and we can take a look, and you and I can maybe strategize together what works best for you, or for any call as that for that matter.
If I could add too, it's just so everyone knows it's not too late to apply for this year's cycle. So you can certainly apply now. The benefit of this program is you don't have to move or find housing. So and it's certainly not too late to apply for this cycle if that's what you want to do. And our LSAT medians are medians. So we accept lower LSAT scores and higher LSAT scores. So don't be deterred by that. We definitely take a holistic approach to all applicants.
And thank you so much, Steve McCormick and Katie. In answer to your second question, Genesis, yes, in the 1L year, there tend to be more synchronous courses because the 1L foundational doctrinal courses are generally synchronous classes. That said, I think that later on in the 1L year, there's more of an asynchronous experience starting as of the third semester, which is summer of the 1L year. And there will continue to be a mix of synchronous and asynchronous classes throughout the 10 semesters of the program. I know that we're running a bit short on time. So Amanda, you raised your hand. You've been waiting patiently. Why don't you asked the last question, and I'll throw it over to Shirley and Katie for the closing remarks. Amanda, go for it.
Sure. I had a question about how the concentrations applied to the hybrid online JD, and if all the same electives are offered when you have to pick a concentration and how that works, in relation to this program online.
Amanda, can I ask a quick follow-up? When you say concentrations, are you talking about the pathways that we were talking about, the pathways, the tracks?
I guess concentrations like the environmental law, like all the different types of fields offered.
Yeah, so what I would say there is that when you're thinking about the online hybrid JD program, the vast majority of the classes are required, right?
Mhm.
This is the way I think about it. They're 1L foundational courses, they're bar exam courses, or they may be courses like the Appellate Advocacy Capstone or the Simulation Externship courses. There are, however, a handful of courses that we call the pathway or concentration or track courses in areas like energy or food and agriculture, environmental law, restorative justice, animal law, for example, and the general track where you do have options. Dean McCormick correctly calls these elective courses, right? And they're generally a handful of the courses that you have in law school, but that's the way I would characterize it there.
I wanted to, I
Excellent.
know Shirley included this in the chat, but I wanted to extend an offer. If you'd like to see what these classes are like, I do have class tomorrow, or not tomorrow, tomorrow's Friday. I have class on Monday, 6:30 to 9. I don't have class the following week, but then the week after that, I do have class. So contact Shirley. She put her contact information in the chat. If you'd like to attend, you can sit in and watch these classes. You don't have to stay the whole time if you don't want to, but it might be a great way for you to get a feel for what it's like.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amanda, and thank you so much, Dean McCormick. And I know Katie and Shirley, you wanted to share a few things, right?
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that every Thursday night from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, excuse me, we host a webinar similar to this about different aspects of the JD degree. Coming up on April 4th, we're going to do an overview of the externship programs and our law clinics, as well as on April 18th, our environmental JDs and specializations, as well as joint JD and Masters in Environmental Law. And on April 25th from 6 to 7 p.m., we're going to do an overview of our JD programs with a restorative justice focus. And again, if you are interested in civil procedure, my email address is in the chat. Let me know the Monday night that you prefer, and I'll set you up and send you the link and get you all set up. Thank you.
I know this went by so fast. Could talk for hours, but I am a chatty person. Roger and I are both chatty. But I just want to do a sincere thank you. We will pop our emails in the chat, so feel free to reach out to us if we weren't able to get to your question. I know, Vivian, I'm happy to talk to you about international and how that looks. I wish it was as easy as you just come here and you can practice all over the world, but there's some strategies that you need to take into consideration. So with that, I'm going to pop my email in the chat. But again, thank you, Director Powell, Dean McCormick, and my favorite people, Adam and Bill, Shirley, Ellen. This was a wonderful evening. It's a great program. And please take Beth up on her offer and sit in on a class. You'll get a true experience. All right. With that, I'm going to pop my email in there and sign off. Thank you all.